Welcome back, crew. While it may be August, we're still wrapping up July with the review of our game of the month, The One Ring. So today we're going to take a look at my thoughts, my feelings, of the things I liked, I didn't like, and some things I'm kind of hopeful for in the future with this system. So, and also a few things I may take away and utilize for other games outside of the One Ring TTRPG. So let's dive into it. For any of you that are familiar with our reviews of the systems, one of the things I've stolen from one of my favorite D&D podcasts, NADPod, not another D&D podcast, I should say. Go check it out if you're one of the few who haven't seen it before. But they do this really cool thing where they've got roses, buds, and thorns. And roses are kind of the things they loved about the session or loved about the system, and that's going to be kind of the good things. Buds are things they're kind of excited about for the future, and thorns are things they just may not have liked or didn't click with them so well. And we're going to use that for this system. And let's kick it off. So I love this system. If you've watched my actual play of it, I used their Strider mode, so check that out and got to have my own little adventure with the system. And one of the first things I will say about it is it feels like Lord of the Rings. If you've wanted to have a Lord of the Rings adventure, check out this RPG. I know so many players in the past have tried to tweak D&D or tweak Pathfinder or tweak any other system into trying to be a Lord of the Rings simulator, and it just doesn't have that feel to it. But the One Ring, at least in my opinion, successfully captures that feel and is more than kind of able to get you that Lord of the Rings, that Hobbit, that Silmarillion experience, get you that Middle Earth feel that you definitely need for a good adventure. So that's definitely one of my biggest roses for it. Feels like Lord of the Rings. The other big thing too, and these are kind of a little more mechanical things I liked for it, because one of the biggest things I see in Reddit and just within the D&D space is people complaining about not having like journey or traveling rules or socialization rules. And if you saw the stream, we did a heavy bit with the journey rules. They've got a really robust and well built system that allows DMs to come up with different obstacles and kind of a way to kind of make those obstacles seem kind of fair based off the player's skills with the way they have it set up with the guide rolling the explore check. You make that march check, see when an event comes up, and then one of the party members getting to make a check to see if the event goes successfully, and then the DM or the lore master for the system getting to be able to kind of talk through what happens and kind of make up the event and kind of give the flavor behind what happened behind the mechanics. So I really like that. That was really cool to me. It's definitely one of those ones because sometimes as a GM you kind of get stuck having to build all the mechanics, especially if you played some of the other systems. And this they've got it built in there, and they leave you to make the flavor, which I feel like is ultimate role of the lore master, DM, GM, however you style it, is to kind of come up with the situation, come up with the story, make that flavor. And this system boils it down to that base root. So all you really have to do is come up with that flavor. So really cool there. I even had some fun with it, just being kind of me, myself, and I with the Strider mode, and being able to kind of come up with some wacky scenarios that Syrian got up to. So loved that. We didn't get to dive into it during the actual play, but they have a council mode, which is kind of a similar rule set built out for RP moments, so crucial RP moments, which is another thing that I've seen a lot of the D&D crowd kind of looking out for, and they build it out here. So it's just really one of those cool things you can utilize if you got a clutch moment they need to convince someone. You can kind of go through and put this in place. And we touched on the council rules in our mechanics video. Go check that out. But you can kind of set in and set the resistance, set what whoever they're speaking with kind of mindset and disposition towards the players, and have a really cool RP moment with hopefully people bringing that flavor, bringing that RP, but still have some strong mechanics behind it so the players know what's going on. So kind of the best of both worlds on that side. So I like that. Didn't get to use it, but I like how they have that set up. So those are a couple of one of the other things, or two other things I want to shout out with the roses before we move on to the next few sections. I loved how they had the target number. It's a cool mechanic. So like, and you guys remember from our other videos, basically once you pick your attributes, you minus them by 20 or minus them from 18, depending on kind of your level and how you're setting it up and what mode you're playing in, and that becomes your target number for the skill. And I thought that was and basically anytime you roll a skill, you've got to beat or meet that target number. And I thought that was a really cool way to do mechanics with this, or kind of do rolls, so you know what your character can do and you know what your character's good at, and you don't need to. And it's not the DM setting these DCs. It's not something that's going to be, for lack of a better way to put it, arbitrary. It's based off your right on your character sheet. You know what you need to hit. So I thought that was cool. That's a kind of an interesting concept, and I liked how it played out with my own actual play. Especially, and kind of leads into the next point. If you're playing Strider mode, you don't have to worry about setting DCs. That was one of the things before I learned the system I was a little worried about. I was like, if I'm being my own DM, I have to make my own DCs. But with this system, if you're playing in the Strider mode, it does it for you. And that leads into my biggest rose for this system. The Strider mode is amazing. I had a blast running the game. It was a little, it would be one of those ones. I think it's perfect for kind of running off stream. The stream, I was talking a little bit more than I'm used to. That was definitely a little draining. Still had a lot of fun, but it was more draining than I expected. But for off stream, if you're just playing with yourself and kind of coming up with scenarios and kind of your own flavor and RP, this is a robust and cool system that you'll come up with surprising and kind of flavorful adventures. So I really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to do some more streams with it later on, and maybe just play it on my own, because it's just a cool system. It was easy to run. I didn't do any prep for it. I just got to make sure I had all the tables in roll 20, so I know where to roll, and then people could see what I'm rolling, and it kind of went along with it. So it's load, no prep, and just got to be ready to put your RP hat on and just RP and improv hat on, and just got to go with the flow and make a good story for yourself. So really, hats off to the team on that side. $5. So if you have for the One Ring, or if you want to buy the One Ring and Strider mode, $5 for Strider mode. Easy, it's $5 to spend. It's a great system. It's robust. I'd love to see more TTRPGs do something with this. So those are my roses with it. So lot to love with this system, especially with that Lord of the Rings feel. Let's go into my thorns. I didn't really have too many thorns for this, but my biggest thorn, and I didn't get to get into a true combat, but in this guy, I love kind of, and I like crunchy systems, and the combat seems a little bit more theatrical and more narrative, which is really cool. It kind of fits the Lord of the Rings style, but I would have loved a little bit more crunch to it, and just kind of some more options and more things that you can kind of do while making combat. And I know with the actual play, we didn't get into it too much with the combat, but just kind of even looking through the system and kind of just doing some testing and kind of playing around with it a bit. That would be my only thorns. I wish there was just a little bit more depth to it, a little bit more crunch to it, just to get in, just have some more fun on that side. But overall, love the system. A couple of my buds before we get into kind of things I'm going to take away for other systems. Things that I'm kind of excited about or want to kind of check back into the system with in the future is I want to try out this with an actual group. During the summer, it's hard to get my table together, and so I decided to run the Strider mode with it. But definitely before I wrap up this year, I do want to get a group session going, and I'll definitely put that on my YouTube as well. So stay tuned for that. But that's something I'm excited for. I want to see how this plays with the group, see how everything works when you have all the different people in their roles and different characters people can come up with, and just see how that Lord of the Rings feel comes out. So definitely a bud for me on that side, and stay tuned for that. Couple things I want to take away from others for using in other systems. Actually, before we get into that, one thing I do want to clarify on or post a correction for. So I realized this during my live play. Before, and I think a couple videos, I've said that with the D12 system, or the D12 they use for their feat die, that 1 is the Eye of Sauron or Eye of Mordor, and 12 is the symbol of Gandalf. I had that wrong. This is why you don't make assumptions, you read the book. I assumed it'd be 1 for that Eye of Mordor, but Eye of Mordor is actually 11. Gandalf is still 12, though. So it's 11, not 1. It's just one of those things. It just seemed like it would click in my head, it would be 1, but it is 11. Confused me when I was doing a roll table on stream. But I wanted to post that in there just in case you watch the video, get confused. 1 is just a regular number on the die on that side. So heads up on there. But for things I do want to take away for other systems, one of the biggest, I liked how they had the journey and the kind of council rules. It's definitely one you can't do like a direct port for it, but just kind of using some of their frameworks, setting those resistances. I know some of these like they do have in the DMG. For if you're playing 5e, like they have the DMG, but I liked the way they set it up. I liked the way they kind of have the framework for it, especially for the journey side. And I think that's something that you could kind of easily tweak and make work for 5e, Pathfinder, any of the other systems, and just kind of have a bit of a robust system that you can bust out when you need to do some traveling, or even if you wanted to bust into the council system for some social and RP encounters. So, like that, we'll definitely be taking that out for some other games. Maybe I'm not sure where I'm going to throw it in yet, but I've got that in the back of my head for something. The other big thing, and this is one I don't know how I'll take it away, but as I said, I want more games to have a solo play mode. I know for some systems it just wouldn't really fit, like 5e, Pathfinder probably aren't the best for it, or just kind of how much falls on the DM's shoulders. But just for other systems that were maybe a little bit more narrative, a little bit more lends itself more to this style of gameplay, I would love to have it. It's really cool, especially for how hard forming a group can be and keeping the group on a consistent schedule. Having an RPG you can just play on your own and still have fun, still get to roll dice, still get to have a good story that you developed yourself. It's invaluable for that. I've got my DGM shirt on, and one of the things I'm, and for those who don't know, the Dungeon Jedi Masters, it's kind of my other channel, and go check that out if you haven't seen it before. It's about the Star Wars 5e system, and one of the things I've been pondering for our Patreon is trying to find a way to make a solo mode for it. Hard things, it is based off of D&D 5e, or kind of uses that as a base, so it's the same issue. But I'm going to tweak with it because it's one I liked, and I'd love to be able to bring that to the Star Wars universe too. So I won't say stay tuned, but fingers crossed, I'll figure it out and be able to bring that to those. And go check out Dungeon Jedi Masters if you hadn't too. That's definitely kind of my other main TTRPG field. But overall, just kind of feelings for I love the One Ring system. It's really cool. It gets that Lord of the Rings feel. It just has a lot of cool pieces with it, and I love like how much care they put into kind of working the lore into like the mechanics and kind of the working the lore into the book naturally. Really cool on that side, and just there's a lot of fun adventures you can have with the system. And the nice thing is it's not hard to learn. The lore master will have to do kind of just with learning a few different how the different mechanics work, but as a player you could jump right in. Just basically have to know what ranks you have and what dies what which die is which, and you can go in and start rolling and bring your hobbit to Middle Earth. So cool on that side, but I liked it. Recommend you check it out. Freely Gaming. One of the big things too. Oh, yes, this is another rose for them. Big rose for them. If you buy from Freely Gaming, I bought the Morkborg, One Ring, and Aliens. Aliens probably gonna be our October game of the month, so stay tuned for that. But anytime you buy one from them, they give you both the PDF, and if you buy the hardcover, they give you the hardcover and a PDF. A lot of game companies don't do that, and for me, it's such a benefit to add because I play most of my games online nowadays, thank you, COVID, and being able to have a hard copy, because I love hard copies, and then have a PDF I can send out to my crew so they can get the rules and build their characters, it just makes life so much easier. So, shout outs to Free League for doing that, and more game companies jump on board there. But yeah, so that was the big pieces for today's episode. I do want to give a shout out to our next game of the month. I thought I had the book next to me, but I don't. We've got not the One Ring, Blades in the Dark is our next game for August. So stay tuned. August 31st, I believe. Wednesday, August 31st. It will be our actual play for the game. So come through. Same thing like last time. We're going to go through and do our first impressions this weekend, show you how to build a PC, go over some of the core mechanics, and just really take an in-depth dive into the Blades in the Dark, our system. And one of the cool things we'll do is on August 31st, we're going to give away a PDF copy of the system to one lucky viewer. So come through, hang out with us, and maybe you'll be able to bring that home for you and your crew. But overall, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the One Ring system. If you play the system or like it, throw something cool about it in the comments that you like, or throw one of your roses, buds, and thorns for the One Ring system in there. I'd love to see kind of what the community thinks, or even things you may take away for your other RPGs. So drop there, like, subscribe. Please follow us. We love having some more people and get to experience new TTRPGs, which is the whole mission of this channel. To kind of break out of the world of 5e and Pathfinder and see kind of some of the other RPGs that may not get as much shine and much love. So join us there. Also, if you haven't, follow me on Tegan J Game and get to see some of my live play games. A lot of Star Wars 5e, but we got Mutants and Masterminds, our games of the month, pretty varied group of TTRPGs we get to bring to screen. But thank you all for watching, and until next time.